This is our first real look at the new direction for the studio formerly known as 343 Industries. Halo Campaign Evolved proves this studio fundamentally doesn't understand Halo. They had the recipe for one of the greatest games of all time, and they still managed to miss the mark. I'm Rusty, and I've been here with Halo since day one. From playing split screen with my older brother to midnight launches through every era of this punished franchise. When I'm looking at this remake, I promise I'm not coming at it from the same old 343 bad energy. I'm looking at what changes were made through the lens of someone whose baseline is the original trilogy. I'm gonna skip past Reach and ODST for now. I love them, I have incredible memories with them, but this video is about mainline Halo. Halo 4 dropped on my stepmom's birthday, and on the way home from dinner we stopped at GameStop to pick up my late birthday present, the Halo 4 Legendary Edition. If you slapped a Halo logo on the box, I was there. I wasn't really critical of anything. I didn't emotionally connect with Halo 4 the way I had with the older games. The corpse of Halo 4 has been beaten more than a dead horse at this point, so I'm sure you can piece together why. Like the vast majority of players back then, I finished 4's campaign and immediately went straight back to Reach for custom games, ODST for Firefight, and 3 for everything else. Looking back at my Xbox achievement log, I unlocked the Legendary Campaign achievement for Halo 4 on December 7th of 2012, a month after launch. The solo Legendary run, I didn't bother finishing that until June of 2013. My final achievement in Halo 4 was unlocked on December 23rd, 2014. Meanwhile, my last achievement for Halo Reach was September of 2016. Halo 3 and ODST don't even have clean timestamps on my profile. I unlocked most of the achievements before 343 took over. But the data doesn't lie. 343 had the keys, but Bungie Halo was still where I actually lived. Y'all remember the Christmas day that Lizard Squad took down the Xbox servers? It was day one with my new Xbox One, and I spent the entire afternoon staring at the setup screen. All because Microsoft, in their infinite wisdom, made the console require a network connection just to get past setup. The day after Christmas, the servers came back online and let me log in and start the system update. Our internet back then was painfully slow, so I spent a while lying in bed reading a book, glancing at the TV every few minutes to check the progress bar. After all that waiting, it was finally time. I popped in Halo the Master Chief Collection, and more updates. Laying in bed with the Xbox humming in the dark, it kind of felt like 2001 all over again. Back then I was worried about it holding a save file, now I was just hoping a download wouldn't crash. The next morning, there they were, the 3 best words I'd seen all week, ready to play. If you were there for the launch of that Master Chief Collection, you remember the disaster, and funnily enough, 10 years later, it's still barely in working order. Constant crashes, broken netcode, matchmaking that left you trapped in empty lobbies for hours. I literally had a buddy sit in queue for 3 straight hours. Co-op didn't work half the time, and to this day, that loud crash sound still haunts me. They couldn't even get the achievements working on day one. How does a studio literally owned by Microsoft fail to get Xbox achievements working? It's embarrassing. In hindsight, 343 naming themselves after Guilty Spark was a warning. Just like the Monitor, they showed up acting like our guide, only to blindly push their own protocol, ignoring everyone else while the whole installation burned around them. Halo 5 was next. Moving on. Thanks to Brian Reed's work on Halo 5, Infinite's story was doomed before pen hit paper. 343 had backed themselves into a corner. Do you double down on the universally hated storyline of 5, or do you pull the same trick you did between 4 and 5, pivoting through a stack of books? Do you shoot yourself in the left foot or the right foot? It was a lose-lose scenario. Jump back to E3 2018. My buddies and I were sitting in an Xbox Live party watching the broadcast, and up until now, Halo had been on a 3-year release cycle. 2018 was year 3. 3 years of total radio silence had the entire community on edge. We were all asking the same question. Did Halo 5 actually kill the franchise? Where is Master Chief? And we saw it, the teaser for Halo Infinite. At first, nobody knew what we were looking at, until the camera stopped on the ring structures, then I knew. Then came the wildlife, the orange flares, the Marines walking on the grass. Everything looked right. The party chat was quiet, and then we saw the helmet. Chief's new armor was perfect. Not the bloated, over-designed shit that 343 had forced on us. They were Nepo babies trying to mark their territory on a legendary franchise, but after 6 years, the fans had finally won. Halo's art style was back. The infamous 2020 gameplay reveal pushed the game back another full year. Thank you, Craig. You saved us, if only momentarily. Then came the surprise multiplayer shadow drop in November 2021, complete with 343 promising a massive 10-year roadmap. And something unbelievable happened. The game was actually good. Look, I am a Halo boomer. I hate Sprint with a passion, but Infinite integrated it in a way that didn't ruin the sandbox. The core loop was tight, gunplay was crisp, and for the first time in a decade, Halo did feel like Halo. Sure, the launch content was a little light, but it was labeled as a beta. Progression carried over, and the full campaign was right around the corner. The missing modes and maps were gonna drop on launch day, right? December 8th arrived, and nothing. No new playlists, no extra maps. Another year in the oven, and Infinite had somehow launched worse than 5.
Oh my goodness!
But hey, we did have the 10-year roadmap, and Halo 5's post-launch content was actually solid. So we held our breath and stayed cautiously optimistic. As for Infinite's campaign, it wasn't as bad as 4 or 5. To be fair, Brian Reed was fired after Halo 5, meaning whoever took over Infinite was forced to clean up the narrative disaster he left. Following Halo 5 was the single biggest problem Infinite's story had. So to be fair, it was a decent effort considering the wreckage they had to follow. But the real issue with the game was the structure. 343 tried to pull a Ubisoft, dropping Master Chief into a generic open world, and it completely broke combat pacing. And that brings us to the main event, Halo Campaign Evolved. A New Dawn was the teaser trailer that announced 343 Industries changing their name to Halo Studios. They shit their pants and changed the shirt. That trailer showed us Mark V Chief, and the writing was instantly on the wall. They went radio silent afterward, but everyone saw what was coming a mile away. A remake of Combat Evolved. Dear God, save us. Sure enough, they officially announced Halo Campaign Evolved in October of 2025. About a year after flexing Chief in Unreal Engine 5, which brings us to today. After months of waiting to see if they could manage to remake a game that was already finished 2 decades ago, surely, if they had the step-by-step recipe for a timeless classic, they'd nail it, right?
That one didn't age quite so well.
You boot the game to Microsoft Sam shouting the options menu in your ear at max volume. Off to a stellar start. Halo Studios seemingly has this enabled by default because they think, if you're dumb enough to buy this game for $50, surely you can't read. That might sound a bit harsh, but Halo Campaign Evolved constantly treats you like a toddler who's never touched a controller before. But we'll circle back to that. First, let's talk about the user interface and the menus. Or rather, the fact that booting the game immediately forces you to tab out, open a browser, and link a Microsoft account to Steam. My Xbox account is already linked to my Steam. Why was that not good enough? The very first thing you're going to want to do is open Settings, go to Accessibilities, scroll down to Screen Narration, and turn that bullshit off. Unless, of course, you actually can't read, in which case, leave it on. But also, please click off this video right now. You're way too young to be hearing words like shit anyway. While we're into settings, let's go ahead and make a few other essential adjustments. Kill screen shake, motion blur, chromatic aberration, and film grain. Modern AAA games having these turned on by default is disappointing. It feels like developers have zero faith in their art. So they slap a layer of camera glare and digital sludge all over the screen to hide the rough edges. Screen shake and motion blur clicked off. Now, where's film grain? Where's chromatic aberration? Oh, I guess those just stay on. Fantastic. Unless you want to go digging through the config files on PC just to strip out the visual mud, you're stuck with it. I miss the era when developers actually trusted you to customize your own experience. If you're on PC, you have to manually edit the INI files just to force film grain off. And if you're on console, tough shit. Halo Studios decided that the smear is mandatory, and you get zero say in the matter. You're far too stupid to know what you want. Halo Studios knows best. Obviously. Credit where credit's due, the main menu itself is fantastic. No massive Hulu tiles, just clean vertical list. Watching the Halo ring rotate while the classic choir sings, honestly, it lands. I'll give him that. However, I will immediately take that praise back and complain about the ring itself. It suffers from the exact same shit Halo Studios has been infected with since day one. Over-designing iconic assets to chase the mythical broader audience. Halo rings are galactic superweapons. Why does every square inch need glowing neon strips and extra ridges? Does any of that noise actually improve the design, or are you just slapping shiny shit on my screen to impress people who don't even play your games? Newsflash, the broader audience isn't coming. You're stuck with us. The original 2001 ring worked because it was simple. A massive, silent megastructure floating in space sells itself. It doesn't need to look like a rejected Mass Effect asset to look impressive. Hearing the classic countdown beeps and seeing the wireframe loading bar again is pretty awesome. For about 5 seconds, you can let yourself get tricked into thinking, hey, maybe Halo Studios is different from 343. They're showing love to the original DNA, referencing the past. It actually feels promising. But like every monkey's paw wish, it's a trade-off, because Halo Studios, that's just 343 and Groucho Marx glasses. For every classic loading screen we get, we're treated to twice as much hand-holding. They act like we're complete idiots. Which, fair enough, we are idiots. Stupid for buying this product, and stupid for expecting 343 to actually change. So the finger on the monkey's paw curls. We get classic wireframe loading bar, but the second we drop into the game, reality hits. Just like every 343 Halo before it, this product is fundamentally broken. Every time I launch the game, and I mean every single time, I have to rebind my melee, grenade, and flashlight keys. It's a minor nitpick, sure, but it's the exact brand of classic laziness that lets you know that 343 never actually left. Lovely. So I rebind my keys, look up, and take in the HUD. Holy Jesus, this HUD is something. Here comes another small gripe, but honestly, this game isn't a single catastrophic failure, it's death by 1,000 cuts. Close your eyes and picture it. The HUD from Halo. Anyone, doesn't matter. Where's your motion tracker? If you answered bottom left, why are you asking such a stupid question? Congratulations. You possess a functioning brain. This layout has been set in stone for 2 decades. Sure, the shield bar drifted around before settling at the top in Halo 3. But even 343, and all of their relentless meddling, never dared touch the motion tracker. But Halo Studios did. For reasons beyond human comprehension, they decided that the default logical place for your motion tracker in a Halo game is now the top right. Almost like a certain other FPS franchise, one 343 has been desperately chasing for 15 years, puts its mini-map in the top corner. Once again, they couldn't resist chasing COD's tail. The second that radar flickered on, I immediately paused, opened settings, went to gameplay, scrolled down to HUD layout, and set it back to the bottom left. I'm honestly shocked they gave us the toggle at all, instead of forcing us to accept the top right radar as the future of Halo. The weapon icons and ammo indicators are fine, frankly. You'd have to go out of your way to ruin something that's so basic to Halo's identity. Except...
Holy Jesus. What is that? What the fuck is that?
Holy shit, guys, they included the button prompt to fire your weapon directly on the HUD. Just in case you are so unfathomably stupid that you forget the default trigger used in literally 99% of all first-person shooter games on the planet. There it is. Right next to your ammo count. They even slapped a button icon on the screen to remind you to switch weapons. Because God forbid a player in 2026 has to figure out how to swap from a plasma pistol to an assault rifle without a prompt glued to their f***ing eyes. Okay, fine, whatever. They want to give us button prompts? Maybe, just maybe, some player out there actually needs to be reminded where the trigger is. But the lack of a toggle to turn it off is just absurd. I'm a grown-ass man. Or, wolf. Though I guess the prompts do serve one practical purpose. They remind you what your controls are after the game inevitably resets your keybinds between every single session. So, have fun with that every time you boot it up. You know, the twice. Surely that's the end of the UI handholding. I mean, you're literally breaking my palm with how hard you're gripping my hand. 343, please stop. You're hurting me. Or not. Thankfully, this game was clearly playtested by people who've never seen an interactive screen before. So every time my hand gets squeezed, I'll try to remember to go easy on Halo Studios. Look, stepping back to the main menu, the UI for Halo Campaign Evolved sets a pretty worrying baseline for the remake. At a distance, the nostalgia is here. The menu looks clean, the loading screens are classic, and having a toggle to fix the trash HUD is a welcome touch. Shut up. But the moment you stop looking at the UI and actually try to navigate it, the illusion shatters. What starts as a nostalgic main menu quickly devolves into a UX disaster. You're greeted with mandatory account linking, forced screen narration at max volume, and missing filter toggles. Combine that with controller prompts glued to your HUD, and the design philosophy is clear. Halo Studios doesn't trust you to play their game. It's a great piece of nostalgic presentation completely smothered by AAA slop and relentless hand-holding.
Enough!
We open on a slow pan across space, passing Threshold and our moon basis. As expected, they look great. Now, I don't know if it's a quirk with my rig, or if they somehow botched the render passes, but there's some severe star jitter in the background as the camera pans. Weird. Next, slip space portals get a visual redesign for the first time in franchise history as we get our first glimpse of her. The Pillar of Autumn, already sporting some battle damage. She's escorted by a couple longswords, which is great to see on paper, but the scale here looks completely broken. Either the Autumn was shrunk down for the shot, or the longswords are gigantic. Because the camera won't sit still, the shot lacks spatial context, making the relative scale look completely off. We cut to the bridge to see our old friend, Captain Jacob Keyes. In the 2001 original, Keyes was brought to life by the legendary Pete Stacker, who has since retired. Stepping into the booth is Keith Silverstein. Silverstein is a fantastic voice actor, and with good direction, the man always delivers. Welcome aboard, Mr. Silverstein. Keyes and Cortana go through the original script beat for beat, minus one weird little retcon. When Cortana mentions the escape, the original line specifically referred to it as a subspace tear, not a slip space, but that's being pedantic. Now, speaking of Cortana, something about Jen Taylor's performance feels off. In the original, Cortana was playful, confident, and sharp. Here, she feels less sassy. I wouldn't call the delivery bored, but it's definitely more tonally flat than we've come to expect from her. Visually, the character models suffer from a bit of that classic Unreal Engine uncanny valley. There's no life behind the eyes, and that gives you a weird, niggling feeling, but beyond that, the humans look about as detailed as you'd expect from a current AAA release. And now it's time to pull off a much harsher band-aid. Sergeant Avery Johnson, originally brought to life by the legend David Scully, did not return, as Mr. Scully has also retired. Now, those are some practically impossible boots to fill, and that reality shows in the work done by his successor, Custom John. I want to be 100% clear, I mean zero disrespect to Mr. John here. This criticism falls entirely on the voice directors, if the project even had any. Johnson's delivery in this game is downright atrocious. It sounds like someone doing a cheap impression of David Scully, rather than actually playing the character. If this game is supposedly the start of a fresh reboot for the franchise, this is the one time a voice actor swap made sense. But instead of letting an incredible actor bring his own presence to the role, they asked him to come in and mimic one of the most iconic voices in gaming history. Why? It feels like they explicitly told him, "Hey, sound like Dollar Store Sergeant Johnson," instead of directing him on how to actually embody the character. And there's a bizarre running theme with this interpretation of the Sergeant Major. He is constantly looking into the camera. He's smiling right at you, the player, as if to say, "Hey guys, remember Johnson?" The framing here is just baffling. He's supposed to be a battle-hardened Marine sergeant. Instead, he's standing here grinning at the lens like Steve Harvey, over-delivering his lines like he's desperately trying to land his own Disney Plus spin-off. It's pretty embarrassing. Now, let's talk about the Marines, because they're front and center during this cutscene. Honestly, I really like them. They look like properly upscaled Halo Reach Marines, and a few of them even have the green eyepiece attached to their helmets, a detail missing since 2010. If I have to whine about something, I do kind of miss the shoulder pauldrons they used to have in the original CE, but seeing as how Bungie also abandoned that immediately, it's not really anything worth crying over. Still, seeing the classic Marine speech in modern graphics feels good. The pre-rendered nature of the cinematic keeps a lot of the typical Unreal Engine gloss off of everything, which is good. Before the game finally stops forcing you to look into the eyes of young Steve Harvey, he stares straight down the barrel of the camera for his final line.
Oh, you greenhorns who wanted to see Covenant up close, this is gonna be your lucky day.
Looking straight down the barrel of the camera makes it feel like a bit of a cape shit parody, but I'll admit, the actual delivery did make me grin a little. Even if it was at him, not with him. We cut back outside to our longswords flying around the autumn. The overall framing here feels heavily inspired by Star Wars. The director isn't being subtle about their influences at all. They even snuck in the classic Star Wars laser pew sound effect when the autumn fires her Mac.
Stop them! Stay cool, Mendoza. What do you expect, rifleman? You think this little pleasure cruise is gonna last forever?
Honestly, this line delivery actually lands.
Man, keep your eyes down range, fingers on the triggers, and we'll all go home in one piece.
Whoa. Sure?
Cortana to Cryo 2. Transmitting security code. Bridge out.
Framing the line, "Unseal the hushed casket," as the actual passphrase to unfreeze the chief is a slick touch.
Right. Let's thaw him out. Okay. Bringing low-level systems online. His vitals look good. He's hot! Blowing the pins in 5!
I'm pretty sure they reused the original 2001 voice lines for the cryotechs, except now, without the Xbox compression, the audio sounds pretty good. We all know who's inside that box by now, but building a little extra drama before revealing the redesigned Mark V is a fun touch. We take control of the chief in standard fashion. On Legendary, it skips the tutorial as per usual, but on lower difficulties, they actually let you opt out. For those of us who've been playing this game for 25 years, believe it or not, we know the basics. Letting us bypass the tutorial is nice. Right here in Room 1, we hit one of the biggest battlegrounds in the Halo community. Sprint. Tucked away in the cryo bay, they give you a new skull called Speed Limit, which disabled sprinting when activated. It's funny, sure, but the inclusion of sprint here causes a series of balancing problems that we're going to pick apart when the shooting starts. As soon as I get control, I spent a chunk of time tweaking my aim sensitivity. Honestly, something about playing this game on keyboard just feels sloppy. I can't seem to get my aim dialed in. I know what you're thinking, get good. Yeah, I know. But genuinely, something feels wrong with how the mouse responds. Classic Halo games feel crisp on MCC, so while it could be that I'm rusty, I'm pretty sure there's mouse acceleration or smoothing baked into the engine. We walk, as God intended, toward the bridge to meet up with Keyes and Cortana. On the way, we're met by the classic follow me, Sir Brain. And wouldn't you know it, on a completely linear path that you literally cannot leave, a floating waypoint marker leads us by the hand to the door, just in case you lost track of the one Marine who's not shooting. Ouch, my hand. We snap into a cutscene at the doorway, where the visual consistency immediately breaks. The door suddenly turns dark, the frame the cinematic kicks in. It's not a lighting bug, it's just painfully obvious the cinematic team was focused on making a movie and didn't talk to the level designers. Credit where credit's due. Once the door slides open, the cinematic team's lighting is genuinely great. The bridge is half drowned in shadow, and half illuminated by pulsing red emergency lights that actually sells the crisis.
Captain Keyes?
Good to see you, Master Chief.
And then the chief speaks, and man, Steve Downes sounds old. At 76, his voice is finally starting to show its age. As much as I loathe to think about it, Steve won't be around forever. When he eventually steps down, Halo Studios faces a fork in the road. Either retire the chief, or recast him. Judging by how they handled Johnson, I don't trust a recast.
Things aren't going well. Cortana did her best, but we never really had a chance.
A dozen Covenant superior battleships against a single Halcyon-class cruiser. With those odds, I'm content with 3. Make that 4 kills. Sleep well.
Cortana doesn't fare much better here. Her mannerisms and speech patterns come off more as millennial quirk chungus instead of intelligent and confident. I'm really hating what they've done with her delivery so far.
No thanks to your driving, yes.
So you did miss me.
Report!
It must be one of their boarding parties. I'd guess an antimatter charge.
Bam! Fire control for the main cannon is offline!
Captain, the cannon was my last defensive option.
All right, then. I'm initiating Cole Protocol Article 2. We're abandoning the Autumn. That means you too, Cortana.
While you do what? Go down with the ship?
In a manner of speaking. The object we found. I'm going to try to land the Autumn on it.
With all due respect, sir, this war has enough dead heroes.
I appreciate your concern, Cortana, but it's not up to me. The protocol is clear. Destruction or capture of a shipboard AI is absolutely unacceptable. And that means you're leaving ship. Lock in a selection of emergency landing zones. Upload them to my neural lace. Then sort yourself for a hard transfer.
Aye, aye, sir.
Which is where you come in, Chief. Get Cortana off this ship. Keep her safe from the enemy. If they capture her, they'll learn everything. Force deployment, weapons research. Earth.
I understand.
If all goes well, we'll rendezvous on the object's surface. And if it doesn't...
The rest of the scene plays out as expected until the end. Instead of Keyes handing over his Magnum with the classic "I don't keep it loaded" line,
I don't keep it loaded, son. You'll have to find ammo as you go.
Make sure my daughter gets this.
He tells you to give it to his daughter, and the gun itself is clad in a weapon skin.
The Autumn will continue evasive maneuvers until you initiate a landing sequence. Not that you'll listen, but I'd suggest letting my subroutines handle the final approach.
Excellent work, Cortana. Thank you. Are you ready?
Yank me. Your architecture isn't that much different from the Autumn's.
Don't get any funny ideas.
Good luck, Master Chief.
Naturally, as the cutscene and gameplay team seem to have had zero communication. The second control is handed back to you, you can turn around and see the bridge isn't dark anymore. It's fully illuminated, with just a couple of red sirens spinning on the ceiling. Oh well, we can't expect visual consistency from this company, especially after 15 years of breaking every single piece of the franchise they touch.
Flappin' Flotsam, what's that?
Anyway, on to the gameplay. The M6D Magnum Returns, honestly, it looks incredible. They didn't go overboard making it too shiny, doesn't look like a toy, has a rugged steel finish, and it looks like a proper hand cannon. The Magnum is the undisputed cornerstone of this sandbox. You know it, I know it. Thankfully, the developers knew better than to mess with the king. We round the corner leading away from the bridge, utterly lost and terrified without our little blue objective marker holding our hand. Remember, this is a guided field trip for kindergartners. If teacher isn't leading us by the hand, we might get lost and stop engaging with the content. We turn a bend and run into our first pack of grunts. And I'll be the first to admit, the art team knocked these little guys out of the park. The grunt miners feature a vibrant orange armor that creates great contrast against their dark blue skin. They have a sharp, angular silhouette, unlike other games. I don't plan on going into model breakdowns, I'll save that for the big dogs. One detail that I love is the visible green methane gas venting from their masks as they breathe. Sure, it's a little visually noisy in a tight hallway, but it's a good noise. It makes them feel like living, breathing aliens. Excellent work by the art team here. Beyond the models, returning Halo to a proper M rating was for sure the right choice. Nothing celebrates that return to a mature tone like painting the bulkheads with grunt blood. Seeing the alien splatter gives the gunplay a heavy, visceral impact that the franchise has been missing for a decade. So far on the enemy visual front, Halo Studios is 1 for 1. Now I know what you're thinking. It's just a tutorial prompt, every game has them, and fair enough. But look at when this thing pops up and what it's telling me. It drops a massive banner across the bottom of my screen to inform me that I can only carry 2 weapons at a time. First of all, my brother in Christ, Halo pioneered the modern 2-weapon limit. Explaining 2 weapon slots to a Halo player in 2026 feels a bit like Super Mario stopping the game to explain that jumping does, in fact, make you go higher. Second, look at what the game is actually doing here. I've barely walked down the hall, fought some grunts, I get a UI prompt telling me how weapon swapping works. The problem? I haven't even seen a 3rd weapon yet. Hell, I haven't even picked up the 2nd weapon. The AR auto-equips itself to your hands, and the banner instantly flashes. It's a minor thing, sure, but having a pop-up interrupt before you've even touched the 2nd weapon is stupid. If you're gonna force a tutorial, trigger it when I'm standing near a new gun, not one that auto-equips. Changing pace, the assault rifle look is probably my favorite model to date. It is a faithful upgrade of the Bungie classic. Looking closely at the ammo counter, you'll notice it now reads 36 instead of 60. But the bullet hose roll has been shifted to a different weapon added to the sandbox. We'll break down the SMG when we pick it up later. If there's one thing I'll give this studio, they're off to a great start with their assault rifle design. Now, we already caught a glimpse of the elites back at the door breach. Remember where the game locks you in place to force feed you the vignette? And visually, yeah, that's an elite. The blue pops, the roar is pulled straight from the archive, and the model looks like it was yanked right out of Halo Infinite. Of course, I'm not reinstalling Infinite to double check, but model-wise, the miner does look good. The problem isn't with how they look, it's with how they think. These elites are almost certainly running on Halo Reach AI. Sure, Reach had great AI, but Reach was balanced around specific mechanics. Namely, no infinite sprint, it had health packs, and it had assassinations. Because Reach had assassinations, the elites were given that ultra-fast get-off-me melee we all know. It was there to punish players who got too close without actually scoring the assassination or the backsmack. But Halo Studios decided this super-aware AI needed a damage buff in order to counter players using sprint to close the gap. To make matters worse, they added hit stun to plasma weapons. If you eat a single plasma bolt while pushing up, you get slowed down. The elite crunches its animation, slaps you with the plasma rifle, stun locks you, and sends you straight to checkpoint before your punch could land. They ported the AI, jacked up the damage, added movement slowdown, and broke the classic combat dance in the process.
Keep your head down. There's two of us in here now, remember?
You're gonna go down! It broke contact! I'm taking... Keep this up, and we're in big trouble.
After shaking like a baby deer, wandering scared without my waypoint marker, holding my hand through the next room, we stumble into the classic backsmack kill tutorial. This elite was distracted by a squad of Marines. One of those Marines is holding a total stranger to the CE sandbox. The Halo 2 SMG. Pretty cool addition, honestly. It takes over the classic 60-round bullet hose roll from the original assault rifle, allowing the new AR to shift into being a more dedicated mid-range automatic. Now, with that being said, I am not a fan of the modern intended engagement range philosophy. Ever since 343 pushed this trend back in 4, 5, and really hard in Infinite, weapons have felt pretty rigid, hard-capped to only work in specific ranges. Instead of letting players express skill and stretch a weapon past its limits, you get locked into pretty strict range brackets. Sure, adding the SMG lets the AR fill that mid-range slot, but I still hate balancing a sandbox around range brackets instead of combat utility. I've gone too long without my hand being held, and honestly, I was starting to lose interest. After effortlessly mowing them down, I pushed into the bay and see a familiar sight. The classic overshield power-up cube. It's even sitting on a neat little projector pad. That's a great touch. With a smile of pure nostalgia, I walk right into it, expecting the iconic power-up sound effect. Only for Cortana to pipe up.
That's a Covenant overshield. I've created an interface patch that will let you use the device to augment your shields.
Turns out, it's a Covenant overshield module, no longer a touch to activate power-up, but an item sitting on my belt waiting for the button press. Thank God! Something got explained to me like I'm a toddler. I was getting so confused I almost turned off the game to go play Fortnite. A 2-second HUD prompt would have been fine. We didn't need Cortana dropping a whole narrative briefing about making a custom suit patch just so we can hit a button and get extra shields. With an overshield strapped to my belt, I press onward into the dark, mortified, until I see it. The invisible hand of the game designer, gently nudging me down corridors that haven't even opened up into alternate paths yet. Just a linear series of left and rights. Just kidding. That invisible hand is actually a waypoint marker, slapped back on my screen. My guide has returned to deliver me from the terrifying possibility of getting turned around in a hallway for even a second. Ouch, my hand. Pressing onward behind our one true guide, we hit another squad of Covenant. And on normal difficulty, our first encounter with the Grunt Major. They're sporting more of a muted crimson armor and a full face mask in this game. Visually, the colors and modeling are still holding up great. Oh my god, put a muffler on your car, dude. Now back in the original CE, Grunt Majors actually possessed slightly higher health and a touch more aggression than their minor counterparts. But at the end of the day, a Grunt's still a Grunt. They go down just as easy under fire and paint the floor blue all the same. Moving on. If there's one thing I'll give the game unconditional credit for, it is gorgeous to look at. Watching the space battle outside the window makes for incredible set dressing while you push through the ship. Right before we hit the stairs, Cortana drops...
Warning, blast door is closing.
And... man... Jen sounds completely bored out of her mind delivering that line. The enthusiasm just isn't there. Grunts officially retain another core Halo Reach property. If you rupture their methane tanks, they'll turn into untamed fireworks spinning around the room before exploding. Normally, that's fine. But in the cramped corridors of the Pillar of Autumn, on Legendary, those tank explosions hit like a truck. It seems that instead of tuning enemy-specific damage values, the difficulty scaler just jacks up the total damage taken by the player across the board. Which means my leading cause of death on Legendary wasn't even plasma rifle fire here, it was grunt corpses. Thankfully, after cleaning the stairwell fight, our beloved blue guide returns to guide us in the right direction. Sure, it's the only hallway we haven't walked down yet, but hey, who knows? We might have panicked, turned around, and gotten hopelessly lost. Ouch, my hand. But, as I was making my way toward the waypoint, I stumbled across a terrifying new addition to the lore. Apparently, the Covenant have started pulling Marine heads clean off. How barbaric. I mean, look at this poor guy. They didn't just decapitate him, they placed his head floating ominously above his boots. The ultimate disrespect. Feet are disgusting. I know the studio promised a return to an M rating, but I didn't think beheadings were included in that. Each time I near my trusty guide, thankfully she snaps instantly to the next location, giving me not even a microsecond of doubt of which way to walk down this straight hallway.
12. Report to evac station.
He hides in terror. The faithless always flee.
The life pods are launching. We should hurry. The Covenant are destroying the life pods. They really don't want us on that ring.
Man, someone get Jen a coffee. She sounds so exhausted here. But just when you think this field trip couldn't get any more patronizing, check this shit out. 3 lone grunts have waypoint markers. They're the only things in the hallway. There's no cover. This is the path we were already heading down. Holy shit, guys. Are we dead ass? Are we seriously babying the player so hard that we won't even let them spot 3 orange aliens in the corridor without pinging them first? Shooting the grunts is fun. Believe it or not, every single person playing this game was already going to shoot the grunts.
I'm detecting Covenant movement outside the access ways. My analysis suggests our exit will be behind a green-lit door. Scan the area, Chief.
Pissing on the work of the level designer, who very clearly signposted the correct direction by the lighting. We cannot be serious. A green, illuminated door in a hallway so narrow that 2 chief models couldn't step side by side needs a verbal call-out. And following this shocking display of zero trust in the player, we're led right up to a lone grunt with his back turned. Classic setup for the backsmack. But before you can even take 2 steps, Cortana blurts out in your helmet, explicitly telling you how to perform the backsmack. They don't even expect you to remember a basic gameplay mechanic from 5 minutes ago. Halo Studios hold so much contempt for their audience's intelligence that they don't think you deserve the basic respect of using your own brain to remember what button to press.
Motion tracker shows all clear.
Oh, thank God for telling me, Cortana. Because without floating markers over their heads, I was terrified I'd somehow miss the aliens shooting plasma, or God forbid, that I might miss the red blips on my motion tracker that you just turned on that illuminate every time an enemy shoots or takes a step. Thank God we have this advanced AI in our helmet to inform us that the room is indeed clear when everyone stops shooting.
It looks like the Covenant wanted to catch you napping.
Now, taking a brief pit stop here, I had to grab some footage of the Linda cryopod room. They included this Easter egg back in Combat Evolved Anniversary, but as a massive fan of the wider Halo universe, I was really looking forward to seeing it redone here. Honestly, the lighting in this section is fantastic. The darker atmosphere and the deck lights flickering out as you progress really sells the growing sense of urgency on the ship. Unreal Engine 5 has let Halo Studios' art team absolutely flex. The visuals and lighting are doing some real heavy lifting, to the point where I'm actually keeping my flashlight turned on because it's actually needed to see in the dark. Unlike 343's first attempt at remastering CE in 2011. By the time you reach the final firefight, the Autumn is lit almost entirely by emergency sirens, backup lights, and plasma fire. This final push to the escape pods is dark in all the right ways. It really shows off Unreal Engine 5. Plasma bolts slicing through the dark, shields flaring under fire, and neon grunt blood painting the deck as you fight your way off the ship. It's the best visual feedback we've seen since 343 took over the franchise. Which brings me to something I have to mention. Hit markers are in this game, and they're on by default. Naturally, I turned them off immediately, because I respect the art team, and the clear, beautiful work they put into making enemy damage readable through gameplay itself, without the need for hit markers. I round the corner where the game introduces you to frag grenades, right outside the final lifeboat bay. And would you believe it? The entire Covenant squad instantly gets red markers slapped over their heads. Ouch! My damn hand. After polishing off the room, including our first normal difficulty sighting of an elite major, it's time to go. Visually, the major stands tall in its gorgeous crimson armor. Though it uses the Halo Reach helmet geometry, personally, I'm not the biggest fan of that design. I always preferred the classic CE approach where ranks were identified purely by clean color swaps, but I get it. Silhouettes help players parse enemy threats on the fly. The transition into this final cutscene isn't nearly as jarring as the one earlier. The lighting is much closer to the gameplay, though the emergency strobes are still far more pronounced. They tweaked Chief's interaction with the tripped Marine. Instead of just chucking him in like a sack of flour like the original CE, Chief now hauls him up and shoves him toward another Marine to help him into the pod while turning back to fire. It's definitely a more cinematic direction, though praising basic action framing 25 years later does feel a little hollow. Of course, cinematography is going to evolve. And somehow, in the same scene, devolve. Look at this. Chief is firing short bursts at what exactly? If the Chief was hitting him, those shields would be flaring. And if the Elite was actually trying to kill us, he'd be spraying plasma toward the Chief. This Elite has the demon cornered, and he just fires twice and sways back and forth? Why add this little duel if you aren't going to commit to making it look competent? It just looks stupid.
Now would be a very good time to leave.
Yeah, great. Let's print it. Alright, everybody out. Lunch is here.
Punch it.
Ah, sir. Where did the gang? Going for minimum safe distance.
make it, aren't we, sir? I don't want to die out here.
Look.
Back inside, Chief pats the panicked Marine on the shoulder. But then he adds this little nod of reassurance. It completely strips away the dark humor of the original gesture. The nod turns Chief into a comforting figure, whereas in CE, that silent shoulder pat was hilariously awkward.
Thing, Lieutenant? Hell if I know, but we're landing on it.
The Bumblebee drifting toward the Halo is a cool shot in theory, but due to a staggering amount of visual clutter and weird lighting on the ring's exterior, the sense of scale is completely broken. The lifeboat looks massive, the ring looks tiny, and the terrain on the inner surface reads like a flat texture. I know it is, but, you know. Instead of looking like a colossal 10,000 kilometer megastructure, it looks like a ring that's maybe a few hundred kilometers across. My brain just doesn't buy it as a planet-sized object.
Autumn's accelerating. Keys is going in manual.
Heads up, everyone. This is it. We're entering the ring's atmosphere in 5.
This part? Absolutely sick. Watching the Autumn bleed fire on atmospheric re-entry? Absolute art. Flames ripping across her underside sells the pure, crushing weight of the multi-ton warship hurtling toward the surface. This scene started shaky, but it really recovers by the end. Stepping back from the opening chapter, the Pillar of Autumn is a visually stunning return to the ship's doomed corridors. That's constantly held back by broken visual scaling, baffling voice direction, and relentless hand-holding. To give credit where it's due, Unreal Engine 5 handles the visuals brilliantly. Bringing back the M rating means the alien blood coats the deck plates again, and weapon models look better than ever. Which makes it all the more frustrating when the remake constantly shoots itself in the foot. Broken cutscene proportions make an 1100-meter cruiser look small. Keston John's voice direction turns Sergeant Johnson into an off-brand caricature. And shoving Halo Reach AI into tight corridors, complete with plasma hit stun, makes for sloppy combat. Top it off with incessant waypoints, enemy markers, and Cortana constantly interrupting to explain basic mechanics, and the whole opening mission suffers from a complete lack of player trust. Instead of letting environmental lighting and smart level design naturally guide us through the ship, the game panics and plasters the screen with training wheels. It's a gorgeous spectacle of an escape that nails the environmental lighting, but overbearing UI clutter, flat vocal performances, and questionable sandbox ports prevent it from landing as the definitive opener it should have been. A great remake doesn't just modernize the graphics, it respects the player's intelligence enough to let them breathe, explore, and play the game. Halo Studios can try to hold my hand with all the UI clutter they want, but when it comes to Halo, I don't need a waypoint to tell me what to do.
Thought I'd try shooting my way out. Mix things up a little.
Just keep your head down. There's two of us in here.